Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another 1T Hockey podcast. I'm your host, Martin, co-host, Steven.
Hello, everybody.
Welcome. We have a big show for you guys today. Last week, we screwed up, and by we, I mean me. Uh, didn't see that we weren't recording his audio. Yeah, that's all on me. We went through, I think, 50 minutes of content, and then oh wait, we just
Yeah,
threw this all out. It's all a waste now.
yeah, it's pretty much the whole thing. We were on like the final segment, about to finish, and then it finally hit us or finally hit him first that my audio wasn't being captured. So good times. It's okay though. We're back.
Now we've
Didn't
made
really miss
sure.
much, to be honest.
No.
There's a lot of fluff topics that like I feel like are better not being talked about. So in a way, it was an okay thing to happen.
Yeah, I think from then to now there hasn't been very much to come out. You're absolutely right, and we've got actually one big topic we're gonna start off with, the Montreal Canadiens and Marc Bergevin being fired.
Hmm.
Um, Now I am the resident Habs fan here, and overall, Bergevin, just gonna say thank you for your tenure in Montreal. I think it's been fantastic. He has been over 500, has done great deals. Maybe two of them have been bad in terms of trades. Maybe two contracts are bad, but you never have a perfect record. And I think for what he was tasked to do, we're talking about a market that's both French and English, being pulled apart from two sides at all times, and it's something that's very unique in this market. It's the only one that has this problem. So they have to have much more paperwork than other teams. They need to face much more scrutiny from French people who think they have the right to have French players on their team, or French speaking management or whatever. I feel as though for all of these restrictions that you could think about for the Montreal Canadiens, he has done a fantastic job, honestly.
Yeah. You know what, man? You said it perfectly there. Like, it's no easy job to be the GM or president of the Montreal Canadiens, and it's not one that I'm envious of him that he had that job because it's like I said, yeah, very difficult. The media there puts on tons of pressure. The fans put on a ton of pressure as well. Like you said, with them being the only like main like French speaking team in the league, like there's also a lot of pressure that comes with that. And yeah, I mean, he's handled it well. He's always been a stylish guy. You see him showing up to
Yeah,
games in the playoffs. That red suit, it worked its magic for him. Another thing I loved about him was that like he was in better shape than like he was in really good shape. Like that guy's arms were just massive. Like
yeah,
you
you
did
wouldn't
not
want to
want to
screw
pick a
with this
fight
guy.
with him.
Absolutely,
No,
you got that right.
exactly.
Absolutely. He
I still
was.
remember.
Oh, sorry. Go
Oh,
ahead. Oh, yeah, you go
I was
ahead.
gonna say I still remember there was a little sidetrack here, but there's a team that we'd always come up against in EASHL on like the old on like NHL 20 or whatever. And the team name was just Le Gros Bras de Bergevin.
Brad.
the like bra like arms.
Oh, Brad Bergevin. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
basically the big arms of Bergevin was their team name, but it was in French, and I it was hilarious for me.
Such a strong team, I bet.
We beat them a lot.
Oh, sakes. Well, he definitely had a better hand in real life. Of course, we can have a look at his tenure more in depth, and also what actually happened. He was fired when he had COVID, because
Yeah,
that came out. He has COVID, and not only he was fired, but the assistant general manager was fired, as well as Trevor Timmons. But they were saying that there was a guy who had resigned. I thought that he was the assistant general manager, and I thought Trevor Timmons was the head of scouting.
yeah.
Um,
Not exactly sure who was where in Montreal, but uh,
can I have a
yeah, if
look
you
at
could
that?
find that.
So yeah, there was a few other people. Trevor Timmons, of course, he was fired after 20 years of service. Again, a guy who drafted PK Subban, Carey Price, and who else? Max Pacioretty, did I say that? No, I didn't.
Yes. No, no, you didn't
And
actually.
Brendan
Sorry.
Gallagher. Yeah, you got great names there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, Trevor Timmons, Paul Wilson gone. Paul Wilson, funny enough, I've told this many times to Steven. He has good relations with my father and his brother. We know his family quite well. There you go. Assistant GM Scott Mellenby. He resigned.
That was it. Scott Mellenby,
Yes,
yes.
because he was hired shortly after Bergevin in 2012, May of 2012. He was supposed to take the reins from Bergevin when he finished his contract. That was who
Hmm.
Bergevin wanted uh, thing to take. But then Molson did a little turn and said, "I'm going to go get Jeff Gordon, who has a great track record so far, a great hockey mind, good at rebuilding. You saw it with New York Rangers, and he
Hmm.
did some pretty big trades. I think was he with Boston, I believe.
Oh,
Remember I sent you that screenshot. I forgot where that was.
oh boy.
I remember seeing on Twitter.
I
This is very crucial here. 1 second. There you go. Yeah, he started in Boston. He
Yes, yeah,
drafted
I got it up
Kessel,
now too.
Lucic, Marchand, and traded for Rask. So
Hmm.
that's there you go. He signed Chara and Savard. Uh, did great as GM in New York as well, and I thought that he did do a good job. And getting fired was very strange. Uh,
Yeah, well, I mean, that's also just James Dolan being James Dolan,
being
right?
a
Like, I mean,
nutcase.
yeah, he didn't agree with his stance with when it came to the whole Tom Wilson and Artemi Panarin incident late last season. So yeah, that's just James Dolan being himself and being like, nope, this is my team and we're doing things my
Yeah,
way.
and that's okay. We ended the Montreal Canadiens end up with Jeff Gordon,
Yeah, hey
and
man, their loss is your gain.
that's absolutely right now. The question remains for what will happen to the general manager position. Of course, we haven't even looked at the tenure from Bergevin, but we're just getting rid of what for today, or not for
Hmm.
today, but most recently. What's the situation, and then looking at him. Um, no current job or even idea of who's going to be in GM position, but we know that he's going to be splitting it with Jeff Gordon.
Yeah.
He's going to be hockey VP, but that doesn't mean anything. It's he's going to be sharing that responsibility of managing the team with the general manager. People are comparing it a little bit to the way the Raptors are looking like, but I don't think so either because Masai Ujiri, he's more the front of the team. But I
Yeah.
believe in this case, I think they're going to be more working together and to try to figure out instead of Masai Ujiri being the guy who's at the end of the day making the decisions. Because
Well, I mean,
I don't the market the Montreal the Canadians market will not like that. They would not like that.
that's a fair point. But I was gonna say too, like, I mean, like the GM, obviously they're gonna bring in someone who's French speaking because Jeff Gorton
Have to.
doesn't speak French himself,
Yes.
which I actually learned about yesterday. So obviously it needs to be someone who speaks French, which makes you actually a good candidate in my eyes.
Oh, thank you, Steven. Oh,
I
thank you
mean,
so much.
you've got a leg up on like so many other people just because you can speak French.
That's right. I can.
Just call up Jeff Molson and be like, "Yo, dude, I'm
Can
your
you
guy."
hire me, bro? Hire me.
Send him our GM mode videos.
I'm sure he'll look at that and say no. No, you would hire a twig before you'd hire me. That's for sure.
But yeah, so anyways, going back to that, like I mean, I wouldn't be surprised either if it is like just because Jeff Gorton, like he's a very brilliant mind in hockey. So I wouldn't even be surprised if he's the one calling the shots and then the GM is just kind of there to do like the press conferences and speak French and just keep the media happy and the fans happy in that way. And if it is going to be that, I guess one thing we can kind of get to this now before again we just push back looking at Bergevin's time in Montreal. Like there's the rumors and the constant rumors about Patrick Waugh being linked with this job.
Yeah.
So I just kind of wanted to get your opinion on what you thought of that. And, do you believe there's any truth to it? Do you think it'll happen? Do you want it to happen? Just let me know.
No, people can say all they want about Patrick Wall, but they've seen it when he was in Colorado. Um, I saw it when he was in Colorado that he wasn't really fit for a managerial position. He's not fit for that, and he won't take commands from people. If he's a general manager, he'll be like, what is his name? The former general manager for Vancouver, Brian Burke. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
He'll tell you to screw off. He'll tell you to.
Oh yeah, he won't be afraid to say anything to anyone.
Patrick
Like
Wall will
we've
be
seen Wall.
worse. Yeah.
He's quite a hothead. I mean, like you said, we saw him. Oh yeah, we saw him behind the bench, like you said, in Colorado. Like his first game, he was getting into it with Bruce Boudreau, nearly took down like the partition in the middle of the benches just to get to this guy. He would have fought him if he wanted to.
He's not what Montreal needs. They need something calm, something young.
Yeah.
I think what we're looking at is a situation of Lou Lamoriello and Kyle Dubas. We're getting Lou Lamoriello is our Jeff Gordon, and then we're getting a guy who's eventually going to take up the mantle of actually being general manager.
Right.
Maybe.
Who also speaks French.
Because they're looking at, yeah, that's right. It has to be French. You have to speak French. It's necessary that you understand the French language and the French culture. That's also very important. The culture specifically in Quebec. Don't get someone from France, okay?
Yeah, I don't think Thierry Henry will be the right guy for the job.
Don't think so. And I think Daniel Briere has a better chance of being the general manager for the Montreal Canadiens than Patrick Waugh does. Because he's been with the Montreal Canadiens. He has a good rapport with the Montreal Canadiens. Never was in a limelight of bad reason. He's easy to talk to. He's easy to look at as well. Yeah, he would be a perfect guy to be in there and take all the questions anybody has. And I'm sure he could grow. He has potential. And I think he's currently in the QMJHL. I'm not sure where he is, but I think he is the general manager of a hockey organization. I'm just going to double check on that. He has been reported to be linked to the Montreal Canadiens, and just as the Patrick Roy rumors are around. I can't seem to find anything
where he currently is.
Yeah, can't really seem to find anything. Looking on Wikipedia.
That's okay.
Wow, Je ne cache. Let's see if I can find it over here. He has been running the Maine Mariners of the ECHL.
Okay.
There we go.
So he's currently in a management job, which is good.
Yes, it's a good step, and I don't know how long he's been there for. Played the Twitter for the Canadiens, been running since 2017. So that's a lot of time. It's not a high position. It's not a high league, but at least it's in the world. He speaks French.
You got to start somewhere too. That's another thing too, right?
Marc Bergevin never was a general manager until then.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Wow. He was an assistant though, like in Chicago.
Well, he started player management and then he went to assistant after. During the whole Kyle Beach saga. Well, we won't talk about Kyle Beach today. It's not part of it. Maybe it'll be part of his legacy, Marc Bergevin, untold legacy. But that GM position needs to be filled in as soon as possible. That's what Jeff Molson wants. If he knows that there's going to be a better option in the offseason, he will wait. So same goes with the coaching. If it doesn't need to be changed, don't change it. They still have Claude Julien's contract to pay for. Maybe Michel Therrien as well. So they
Yeah.
still have to pay those off, and I'm sure they don't want to pay more for another coach. So
Yeah, as much as the Montreal Canadiens are made of money, they don't want to spend it on those things either.
no, they've they want to revamp though. They say that they want to have a better culture, uh, especially if you're looking at the Logan Mailloux
hmm
incident. You also have the mental health of Carey Price, Jonathan Drouin, a very important pieces to your organization that you want to make sure that are focused and healthy and ready to play at all times. We're talking about
Oh
Carey
yeah.
Price here, who is regarded as one of the best goaltenders still alive to date. You
hmm
know, like he's one of those guys who will end up in Hall of Fame easily, even if he doesn't win a cup. I think that's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
much clear cut. Anyone could agree with that. He's maybe in the top 10 for best goalies in the to ever play. Some could argue
Oh, for
top
sure.
5.
I think top 10 for sure, easily. You give him that. I mean, he's got the two Olympic gold medals as well. Or no, one Olympic gold medal. Sorry, he wasn't on the team in 2010, but 2014, he was obviously the backbone of that team with two shutouts in the elimination rounds and only allowing one goal, and it was against Latvia. Shut out the Americans in the semis, shut out the Swedes in the finals. Like, what else could you ask for?
He played boring hockey and made the men look like children.
Yeah, I mean, he also made really good chances just look easy and
That's
calm,
right.
which he has. He has that calming factor, which like you see in the playoffs too. He can just calm everyone around him because he's like, guys, don't worry, I got this. And it makes everyone else feel good about themselves and reassure that, yeah, we got the goalie to backstop us, so we can do what we want as like up front and just play the way we want to and enforce our style of play. He makes the team around him better.
So we're hope. So the hope for Jeff Molson is to make sure that if we ever get another Carey Price, we don't screw it up like this whole fiasco. Because half his career he didn't play. Carey
Yeah.
Price did not play. If he did, sometimes maybe he wasn't in the right mindset. Halak took over and he did really well. But we're gonna go right now into Bergevin's tenure, and we'll be talking
Yes.
more in depth of Carey Price and whatnot. Steven, ask me or start going off, and we can
All right.
talk about it.
Um, yeah, so just a couple trades that I kind of wanted to go through here. I mean, this one isn't a huge one, but it will be huge later on, and you'll see why. I mean, acquiring Dale Weiss for Rafael Diaz may seem like nothing at the time, right?
Yep,
But then you look later at what he ended up doing with Dale Weiss. Let me just try finding it for a second.
Thomas Fleischman.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, it was just Thomas Fleischman and Dale Weiss for Philip Deneau and a second round pick. Like, pretty solid deal if you ask me.
Again, I said it before. Mark Bergevin has done many great deals, and you start from drafting because one of the first things he did was drafting Alex Galchenyuk.
That too, yeah.
That was one of his
That
first
yeah, you're right.
things.
That would have been his first draft, 2012.
So Galchenyuk came on, and he was a big deal. He's still currently the points leader, I believe, for that draft class. Because Neil
Yep, that is
Yakupov was
true.
right. I think Neil
Yeah.
Yakupov was first, right? And then who was second? Ryan Murray.
Second was Ryan Murray.
Yeah.
Yeah. Third was Galchenyuk. Fourth, Griffin Reinhart. Fifth, Morgan Riley. Sixth, Hampus Lindholm. Then like you got Dumba after there. Like, yeah, I mean, like Riley might. This is off topic, but Riley could actually end up being one
I
of the
think
best players from that draft class.
those defensemen you said Dumba, Lindholm, and Riley will definitely be the top point producers for that draft. I think
Oh
Galchenyuk
yeah,
might be
well, just
done.
the top players. Maybe not point producers because they are defensemen in the end.
Yeah. Well, it
But
depends if
yeah.
Galchenyuk. Most of the forwards have, although it might
Oh,
we
you're
might be missing on some, but
well, yeah, you're right. Their careers like could be cut short. Like I mean, Yakupov's NHL career is already done.
yeah,
I think it's safe to say that Galchenyuk's it's not looking great
he's in
either.
the
So
NHL, so
he
that's
is, but
good.
again, it's
I
not like
don't know
I mean,
his.
he's trying. He's trying to stay in. I give him credit. I liked him last year on the Leafs. Anyways, getting off topic.
Yeah, we are.
um, what's another one we could look at?
There was PK
I mean, okay,
Subban, the
yeah.
biggest trades.
Oh yeah, the Weber for Subban,
Yeah.
just one for one. Uh, Acquiring Andrew Shaw for 2 seconds at the time didn't don't I don't know. I didn't like it. I was like,
No.
why is he doing that?
Well, he never ended up playing this well. So
No. He traded Lars Eller for 2 seconds and as well, which ended up helping the
well,
Capitals win
that's
a cup.
yeah. Lars Eller was a big piece for that. We liked Lars
Hmm.
Eller. There was a lot of people who
Oh,
did. Who
I
did.
liked him too, and I was a Leaf, and I'm a Leaf fan. Not I was a
Wow.
Leaf fan, I still
I
am. I remember because when he was with the Habs, he wore 81, and Kessel was on the Leafs at the time, and I'm like, oh, they have an 81 as well.
matching.
So he just stuck out just like that, and also like just the way he plays. I'm like, damn, like this guy's actually a good player. I like him.
He's like Joel Armia or a knockoff of Philip Deno.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it, actually.
I'm looking at this page here. From uh, from 2012 2017, Bergevin's Canadians went 210 uh, 210 wins, 128 losses, 38 overtime for a 609 point percentage. And then
Hmm.
from 2017 to 2021, his team went 134, 137, and 43 for a 495 point percentage.
Yeah, I
So,
mean, I do remember those first like that first half that you talked about. Like I do remember them always being a solid playoff team and going far in the playoffs too. And then yeah, like toward yeah, like the back half, it's been really pretty rough, and that's usually when we've gotten the discussions coming up about like, oh, is his job on the line? And finally the cork came out of the bottle and it was his time to leave. I mean, that wasn't the right expression for me to use, but
yeah.
it's still one.
Out of that, like, those records, the first piece, you went to the Eastern Conference. Okay.
Hmm.
And then that second piece, you made it to the Stanley Cup finals.
That is true.
So whether or not you have a good win record or not, you could still make it to the playoffs, right? Just
Oh yeah, that's the thing,
might
right?
not
Like I
look
mean,
good.
obviously that record's over multiple years, so there was a lot of bad years in there, but then there was also some pretty good ones, and then obviously playoff results don't go to that record either. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of hard to judge a team based off that, but that's why you gotta look at the bigger picture, like we are, right? Like you
He
can't just look at these stats that
right.
like these fine stats. You got to kind of look at everything.
The whole picture. All
Hmm.
around, he did a wonder. He did wonders for the Montreal Canadiens, bringing in. Um, he inherited Max Pacioretty, Brendan Gallagher, Rene Boer, Brian Giunta. Then he left. He leaves the Montreal Canadiens with Gallagher, Josh Anderson, Tyler Toffoli, Jonathan Drouin, Cole Caulfield, and many others.
Hmm.
Of course, one of which is Nick Suzuki from, yeah, wouldn't you know it, Max Pacioretty. So, of course, they have some pretty bad trades. We've mentioned them with Jonathan Drouin, Sergachev. There was also, what was a bad one? What was the other one?
Uh,
Forgot about
I'm
the other
still
trade.
searching right now.
We were talking about it. Jesus, what is
I
that
know.
bad
I,
trade?
I just I should have written them down.
Well, sorry. Okay. So yeah, I think it was, what was the bad trade? What was the bad trade? My God, I had it, and then that happened.
Uh, well, I can't find any bad ones right now, but I mean, I'm finding like
So yeah, there you
Galchenyuk
go. I
for
got it. I got it.
Doe. Okay.
It's the seconds for Shaw, because one of
Oh,
those
for Shaw.
seconds
Right,
turned
right.
out to be Alex DeBrincat,
Yes.
and
Yeah,
he's been
that's
solid for Chicago, but not this year.
that one though. You can also like, I mean, as much as that one, yes, they traded the pick that became him. You can also put that down to just Chicago scouting being better than everyone
Perhaps
else's for realizing that that guy was available in the second round.
this is true. This is true.
But yeah, just more of the good, I guess. Really, like Galchenyuk for Domi, that was a good one at the time.
Yep.
Um, I haven't gotten to it yet, but I know I'm gonna be close to it. Uh, oh, well, here's one. I mean, the whole Pacioretty thing. Everyone knew he was gonna get traded, and then you end up getting Tatar, Suzuki, and a second round pick all in return for him. Like I feel like I remember people at the time were saying like, oh, like it wasn't a first, and it was only a second, but like at that point, it's like you're really just like. you're picking at hairs at that point. Like you already got a top prospect, you already got a roster player. The second round pick, I don't even think they ended up
But
using. I think they might have
Tatar was
traded
not
it
a
later.
roster player. He was a question mark because Vegas wasn't even using him. It
Well,
was,
yeah,
yeah.
which that's another one. They Vegas traded a first, second, and third for him at the previous year's deadline.
Wow.
And then it was almost like he just didn't fit in with that team because they didn't use him in the playoffs.
Yep.
But then it's just like, I don't know, he went to the Habs and he became a solid player. And I think a lot of people will remember the guy at the Habs games going, point at the camera going, Tatar! Like,
Yes.
what a guy.
Yes. Yes. There was a lot of that. The team last year was such a great experience. I'll never forget it, and I can't thank him enough for that experience. I think any team would take the opportunity, hands down, to go to the Stanley Cup Finals. Even if they don't make it, they would sacrifice a year to do it. They would,
Hmm.
I'm sure Leafs fans are kicking at themselves if they had traded um, this year's success for a chance for Stanley Cup Finals. Last year they would have done it as well. Would you have done that?
Uh,
If
I
you
mean,
were like if the
oh,
Leafs were the Montreal Canadiens at this point, but they actually made it to the Stanley Cup Finals, would you as a Leafs fan be happy still, even if your team is doing poorly this year?
it's tough because we're in a different boat.
But you
Um,
made it past the first round. You make it past the Habs. You go
oh,
all the
oh,
way to the
yeah. I mean,
finals. You go to the finals versus
okay,
Tampa, right? But you
yeah, you
lose
still
against
lose.
well, actually it's a 50-50. You don't know. You don't know because it hasn't happened.
No, 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 no. Let's go with the storyline that they
You
still
still
lose,
lose. Okay.
and now this year the Leafs are starting off really
Just
bad. Like we're
yes.
bottom five
So
in the
so yeah,
league.
the question is if you just had the chance to be at the finals, would you sacrifice it? Would you sacrifice a year of just being shit the year after? Would you do that?
Oh
Just
man, I
1 year
mean,
though. 1 year.
it's. I'll say yes. I'll just say yeah. Why not?
Because like
I'll
you
go with it.
the opportunity for your players to go into the finals, that experience,
Hmm.
that's how you
Just that's the thing. I've never experienced that as a Leaf fan, like
exactly.
you said.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, that would be nice. I mean, again, I haven't seen them win a round in nearly 20 years.
So there's a lot of good and a lot of bad, but all around the future's looking bright for the Montreal
Mhm.
Canadiens. We could look at the past and oh, sorry, go ahead.
One that we did leave out, and this is a pretty big one, the
Hmm.
Jeff Petry trade,
Oh yes,
acquiring him for only a second and a fourth.
that one and the Philip Deneau one
Yeah. Mhm. Oh
are
yeah.
are the two best trades. And I mean, you could throw in the Nick Suzuki one in there too. That one for sure. And his
Hmm.
waiver acquisitions that he would go around and pick up random guys. Lekanen, people you didn't know about. Armia, of course, he was pretty big in Winnipeg, but he was
Hmm.
very solid for the Montreal Canadiens for the playoff run. Josh Anderson, we already talked about him. Tyler Toffoli, a great free agency acquisition. There's a lot of good things, and the worst thing is Logan Mailloux, probably. Logan Mailloux and drafting
Yeah.
that and the way that they handled it was pretty piss poor. That's
Yeah.
that's pretty much it. Overall, I give Marc Bergevin an 85%.
85%. Okay.
Yeah.
Not bad. I mean, yeah, I'll agree with that. I mean, I'll go with what you're saying. He like just from an outsider's view of the Habs, like yeah, he's made some good moves. He's made some bad ones, but all GMs do. But in the end, he's seen quite a bit of playoff success, which is very important.
Yep.
He's been at the helm of the Habs for nearly a decade, which is something in itself to last in that environment for that long. It really tells you a lot about the kind of guy he was and just like kind of how much people liked him there. And it was nice to see. But yeah, eventually it was time to move on, and we'll see what Jeff Gorton can do and who they'll hire as their new GM.
It's also how he leaves the team, right? The team is in good condition. It's not even if yes, they're not great in the standings, although they've been winning these last few games.
Hmm.
Even around this turmoil, they're still doing okay. Um, they are left with a lot of good prospects that just need to be put together, maybe better and more support for the young players because the development so far has been a little bit weak. and hopefully whoever they bring up GM wise can maybe focus on making sure that players aren't being pushed up too quickly and are taken care of more closely, one
Yeah.
to one. These high talent players need to be Ryan Puelling, like that guy was looked at as a potential top 6 center, but he's turned out not too great. He's not hot. Nick Suzuki and maybe Cole Caulfield is your only prospects for this team, and that's really sad. The other guy,
Well,
you got a few defensemen that are in the back there that are potentials for 2-3 years from now, but those are the guys. Nick Suzuki and Caulfield are the guys that are today,
hmm
and that's something that they need to focus on is gaining these guys back. Kakiniemi leaving was huge, and we need to get something like him back, and maybe more certain. I'm very
Yeah.
excited to see how they draft. That's something I'm very excited to see.
Well, yeah, exactly. And even like looking at their draft picks, like they got Carolina's first this year, they got a second, they got three thirds, two fourths, so they're pretty
Aren't they
stacked in
switching?
the early
They're
part.
switching Carolina. I don't know if they is it Montreal
Uh,
getting the worst or the best?
the pick was transferred from Carolina to Montreal as compensation for the sheep. Blah, blah, blah. Okay, I just need to read it.
Sorry.
Hold on. That's okay. Where did it show up? All right. Give me a few more seconds here. I currently forgot how to use the computer.
It's okay. I can have a look too. Um,
We gotta go to the 2022 draft. And it's round 3. Okay. There it is. Okay. No, it's their pick because it was in a what's it called? Offer sheet. So it has to be their own pick. It can't be from another team.
right. No, I understand that. Yeah. You're right. You're absolutely right. So they didn't. The Montreal Canadiens gave their pick to, um, Carolina.
Oh, the first round pick. No, the first was traded to Arizona. And that one condition the better of Montreal or Carolina's first pick, but if either or both are top 10, the Montreal will instead transfer to
Right.
Arizona, the worse of Montreal and Carolina's. But it doesn't seem like both of them are going to be a top 10. So,
Well, maybe Montreal will.
yeah, Montreal's will be most likely.
So they'll have the Carolina pick. The Arizona
Yes,
Coyotes will have
exactly.
Carolina's pick.
Yeah, exactly. So basically they're top 10 protected.
Good. So that's not a bad deal. I think at least they have the first round pick, and Dvorak was uh, a guy that they needed to get after losing
Yeah.
on Deno as well. So
And you're still going to have him going forward too. So,
very young and still dependable. So I'm sure whoever takes up the mantle will be able to hopefully reorganize things so he can have a better position there, a better role maybe.
yeah, definitely.
I think that's it for the Montreal Canadiens. It was a good
Yeah.
long segment there.
It's too much talking about the Habs for me. I
I
can't do it that
agree.
long.
I agree because I'm a little depressed still. A little depressed.
Yeah.
We can have a little talk about the Canucks because it seems like it's a weekly
Oh
news with
boy.
them.
Oh boy.
Never changes with them.
No, they are just they're not enjoying hockey right now. Let's just put it that way.
They're a dumpster fire so far.
Oh yeah.
They're pretty much even with Seattle. They got 16 points, 1 point off from Seattle, and they are 5 points out from the sixth place team, Los Angeles Kings, 21 points, and their differential is atrocious at minus 21.
Yeah.
Um,
Oof.
it's not one of the worst, surprisingly. Arizona's got minus 37.
Yeah,
Montreal's the next
they're
one after.
Yeah, they're a whole other story, but like I mean, Vancouver 2-8 in their last 10. Last night they were playing Montreal, lost again. I mean, that was probably one of their best chances to win in
Yeah.
recent in recent times. Um, yeah, it's kind of like becoming one of those things. I know, like Canucks fans right now are just like they're not having a good time, and a lot of them are kind of wondering this, like when is the next win coming? When are they going to turn around? Because again, I mean, we've discussed this like last time too. Like coming into the season, I don't think anyone could have predicted this about them.
Not being this much of a dumpster fire. No,
No,
in every single division you could say the same thing for one team.
it's very true, and it's like that every year. There's always a team that's like, why aren't
Surprises.
they doing this good, or why are these guys doing better than they should be doing?
One
But
guy we did well, sorry, not one guy. One team we did talk about recently was the Islanders, and you
yeah,
said to wait for the home stretch. They played four now, and they've
oh
lost
boy,
four. So they are actually in the crapper.
yeah. I mean that one there, that
The
one's the biggest surprise to me.
Islanders, the Sens, Chicago Blackhawks, and Vancouver for every single division. I think those guys, those teams, are the ones that surprised most people
Yeah,
because we all
I mean,
thought Ottawa was going to bounce back from last year. They had a
yeah.
good end of the year, but now they're
Although they've had the COVID issues, which like
oh
they've been
yeah,
playing like an AHL team. They've basically been playing their AHL team for like most of the season. So
well
I think for
expectations
them,
is what I'm saying is what
oh
people
yeah,
thought
fine.
going into the season. They didn't think that Ottawa was going to be eighth and Buffalo was going to be sixth. They thought Buffalo was going to be eighth.
Yes,
No one thought the
yeah,
Montreal
that's fair.
Canadiens would be seventh. I know that because they after a playoff run, yes, you lose Carey Price and Shea Weber, but you at least think that they would be a middling team, maybe
Hmm.
behind Boston, But
Yeah, I exactly.
so that's yeah. Chicago also with Seth Jones and those acquisitions. Jonathan Tays coming in.
Yeah, although that one there, the Chicago one, I still wasn't buying it. I
Well,
mean,
that's the
I
thing with
figured they're.
Vancouver. People weren't buying it either with Oliver
That's it.
Ekman-Larsson.
Okay, fair enough. Yeah, fair. Whereas
These
I was
teams
one of the
all got
people who was like,
acquisitions.
amazing. Yeah,
The
it's
Islanders
true.
got Parise. I mean, that's not
Yeah,
as big as Seth Jones or
I mean,
Ekman
the Islanders
Larson.
are just getting older. Like you even
Yeah,
had Chara in there too. They're just making their team slower, which I understand that's their style of play, but like you can only do that for so long before teams finally figure you out and be like, okay, this is how we beat them.
it is not going well for them at all.
Hmm.
Um, what is their stats here?
And
Goaltending
actually,
wise, they're still good though.
yeah. And actually, just going back to like Vancouver, how like we just started this whole point with them, like like looking at JT Miller's quote after last week's loss, where he's not entirely sure if everyone's buying into the team and just if everyone's actually committing themselves to this team. Which when a player's saying that, and I think I want to say he's an assistant captain on that team. So
I'm not sure.
when you got a leader, or at least he's a leader, he's one of the older guys on that team. I think he is. But like, yeah, when you have a guy like that speaking out in a press conference saying like that not everyone if he that he's not sure if everyone's buying in, then there's some serious issues. Like I don't know if this has happened yet, but maybe they need to have like a players only meeting. I know the Leafs did that. I think it was 2 years ago. They had a players only meeting, and after that, you kind of see results are like
Start to
start
show up.
showing up, and like it's just the way they play on the ice. It's different because like these guys, like they go think about it, they're going through everything together, right? They're on the road all the time. You're always spending time with these guys. You're playing for them. Like that's the thing. You need to play as a team. If you're playing for yourself, then there's an issue there and nothing's going to get done.
Yep.
So, yeah, maybe that's all it is. Maybe they need to have a closed door players only meeting, but if they already did do that, then yeah, maybe
Yikes.
something else has got to change. Like Jim Benning may have to go. Travis Green may have to go
Well, that's the thing. A lot of people are wondering why did the Habs fire their general manager before the Vancouver Canucks? You
because the
talk,
Habs are smart.
yes, that's right. You're right. You're absolutely right at that. And I think they're a little bit more fragmented than the Habs are. Like they
Hmm.
have two owners who are split supposedly. One owner,
Yeah.
they're both brothers, but they both have a mindset, a different mindset from each other, a complete opposite, polar opposites
Hmm.
entirely.
Yeah.
One wants to rebuild, and one wants to try to keep pushing. And Jim Benning's probably flipping the coin to figure out, well, which one are we going with for every single
Yeah.
decision.
Yeah, exactly. Like he can't even do anything because the owners aren't telling him what to do. So it's almost hard to blame him, but I didn't actually know that about the ownership thing, so that makes it a lot more interesting now to me.
The ownership is very tough there in Vancouver, and hopefully Montreal having those two heads might not. Hopefully, though, that works out better than how
Hmm.
it's been working out in Vancouver. That's a three-headed monster there.
Yeah.
So
Yikes.
hopefully, a two-headed monster here works out, and they have a good chemistry together. But Vancouver, one of the worst teams in the league. Who knows what's
Yeah.
going to happen? JT Miller has been going around as trade rumors. My dogs are agreeing with me. Um, JT Miller has been seen in rumors for Toronto, New York, Minnesota, coming from last week. They're just on the rumor mill, and it's sad to see because they should have been good. They should have been better than what they are this year.
Hmm.
No one's showing up to
Oh
what
yeah.
they thought that they would.
I will just say this quick point about the Leafs being involved in JT Miller. That's the kind of player the Leafs need to add to their lineup. So, and
Would
I'm sorry for trying to
uh,
make this all about the Leafs, but I just want to add that.
it would be a guy that they would need. Although there would be salary retention for sure. Um, I wouldn't see that happening unless the Leafs are willing to get rid of a first, or at least Robertson in a third or something like that.
Yeah, see, like Robertson now to me is becoming a guy that he maybe becomes more expendable as the days go on because he's yet to really crack the lineup full time in the NHL.
That's not
And
his
he's
fault though. It's
no, it isn't.
injuries.
He's yeah, injuries are a big thing and they're unfortunate. But I mean, again, if this guy's gonna keep being hurt, like how much longer are you gonna wait before it's like, well, the interest is gonna run out on him, his value is gonna run low, and we won't be able to get back what we once thought we could have.
Absolutely.
So it's just one of those things where I'm saying like, obviously Dubas has a tough job to do. No, I'm making it about the Leafs. I'm gonna stop there.
It's is it well it would be worth it for him for Dubas to go after this guy. Although imagine how much they paid for Nick Foligno. How much?
Yeah, don't. Yeah, it was a first round pick, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, I
So
know.
if he was a first round pick and they retained his salary for 1 year, imagine if they had to retain a guy's salary until 2023.
Yeah, that I know.
So that's a 2 year. That's 2 years that they would have to retain, and I'm sure
Yeah,
they would want maybe half of that retained.
yeah. You're definitely no. You're right. You're definitely looking at like a first, maybe even a second, maybe even a
A
future first.
first
Like,
and maybe Robertson, or
yeah,
maybe
and even
or a
even
conditional
more on top
first.
of that. Like, that's what I mean, man. Like, that's gonna be a lot for the Leafs to pull off that trade, but I don't know. I mean, the Leafs are playing well right now. I don't think we need a JT Miller at the moment. It would be nice to have him, but I don't think he's a need.
Teams are wary nowadays. They're not really, especially with COVID and the cap potentially not going up. They're not really looking to add more cap, even if JT Miller's
Hmm.
a good player. Uh, these draft picks, these players, even for strong teams that are competing, at a whim it could change. Another day it'll maybe we'll be at a bad position, or they just don't have that money simply to acquire them. Like Toronto, maybe they don't have the assets. How many times are they going to trade first round picks? You know, like they
Yeah, and that's the thing too, man. I don't want him to keep trading first round picks, and like I don't want him to just mortgage the future. Like I understand the time is now to win, but like eventually, like if these guys aren't getting it done, then you need to have some sort of futures to fall back on and be like, okay, we can rebuild and be competitive again in a few years.
it'd be different if
By like,
Felino was signed for 5 years and they cut his salary in half or something. Then yeah,
yeah,
let's
well,
take
then
it.
the price would have been higher as
Yeah.
well, and I don't know. I mean,
They
Yeah,
need to do that type of move. That's what I think Toronto needs. They need to find a player who's making a little bit. I mean, Evander Kane could be a good fit, and I think we should talk about Evander Kane and Matt Murray with
mhm,
this because it sort of
yeah.
has to do with players who aren't or people who are struggling. Um, Evander Kane sent down to the AHL. Um, they're still willing to trade him because everyone knows he still is a very capable hockey player. It's just
Hmm.
his mind isn't mature to an extent. He can play the game. He's just not business wise, not responsible with his money. He he needs to prove himself, and
Hmm.
if we could find out where is he from? Where is he from? Where would he want to be?
He is from out west. I do know that.
Is he a mini Minnesota guy?
He would you believe it or not, he is from Vancouver, BC.
Oh no.
Because I was gonna say I do know the Canucks do have an interest in him.
He I don't know. I don't know if I would want to if San Jose was willing to say if I did um how well is San Jose doing here? They
Nah, they're coming
are
back down to earth.
they are
They're like they're back to 500, yeah.
after a few losses here and there, but if you got the offer, JT Miller for San Jose's first and Evander Kane, and maybe like a second.
I would
Evander,
take it just for the
yeah.
draft picks, to be honest.
You think the San Jose Sharks draft pick will? What if JT Miller makes it? That's the thing. I don't know if San Jose would even want to do.
No, they don't
No,
want JT Miller either.
no,
So that's why it's not an actual thing, but I mean hypothetically, yeah, if that was being offered to me and I'm Vancouver, I'm taking it just for the first and second alone.
absolutely. Okay, Vancouver. It's possible you could see Evander Kane there if they retain half of that cap. I'm sure they.
Well, I think that's the thing. The only way a move for him to Vancouver would happen is if San Jose terminates the contract.
No, it's gonna be retained. They're gonna be training it, and it's gonna be
No,
retained.
no, no. They can terminate the contract. Because
Okay.
now that he's cleared waivers, if he, because I'm reading this article here, it says his return to game action is still uncertain.
I thought
So
he said. Well, his no. Well, I thought his agent said that he was going to report to the AHL. He will
yeah,
report to
no,
the
he
Barracudas.
will report, but still getting in a game is still something that sounds like it's far away. So I mean, they could also be doing this just to pique interest of other teams to see what they can do. But honestly, I think that they were gonna if they can terminate the contract and then I think I don't know how it will work.
The agent in question is Dan Milstein. Apparently, he has multiple options, and he made multiple phone calls. One of which being to Vancouver. That was tweeted yesterday.
Hmm.
So I think it's gonna take us some time. And Evander Kane, I'm sure he's not gonna be very expensive. We're gonna be looking at like a Taylor Hall situation.
Yeah, if it's a trade, you're not getting. I mean, I'd say it's even less than a Taylor Hall
Oh
situation.
yeah,
Like
a two
you're
thirds
not getting the
maybe.
second, you're not getting a player, you're not getting that kind of thing. You're probably getting a draft pick in there. You're probably still getting some player, but like it's nothing. It's not going to be anything flashy.
Could be a fourth or a third and a future considerations.
Yeah,
I could see that
exactly. Like
happening.
it won't be much.
No,
But yeah, again, that's if it is a trade that happens. I still think it's going to be a contract termination that ends up allowing him to be freed.
that would be the best, and I'm sure he would probably sign for even less than $3 million. He probably
Oh, yeah,
sign at like
sign
two
for
and a
league
half,
minimum.
or
Or
leave.
yeah, even that 1 mil. Like
Yeah,
it's not going to be a big contract at that point
you're right. $1 million.
because teams are going to be like you got to prove yourself again. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. And he'll have a better chance with the clear conscience and clear bank account, whatever you want to call it, a clear contract
Exactly. Yeah.
field. Next up, the Matt Murray. He also cleared waivers. A lot of guys clearing waivers nowadays.
Hmm.
Um, he is a sort of a surprise if you were following it from the beginning. Um, Matt Murray was looked at as the saving grace for the Ottawa Senators. Hopefully be the number one guy for the Ottawa Sens, but they never turn out to be, because
Nope.
that's the Senators for you. They just don't do
Well,
well.
I mean, that's also, I think a lot of, I know one of my friends who's a Pittsburgh fan, he, like, when Matt Murray was a Penguin and they won those back-to-back cups, I remember he would even tell me, he's like, I don't like Matt Murray. Like,
Wow.
he was like, he's good. Like, I'm happy that he won us those cups, but he's like, going forward, I don't want him to be our goalie, because he's like, I guess he, just from what he sees from this guy in game, he's like, it didn't make him confident. And, I see those things too now. Like, watching a
Yep.
lot of him on Ottawa, and even when he was on Pittsburgh, like, he did have shaky moments, and like his glove hand isn't really the best.
No,
So,
easy to beat, and he definitely needs this time in the AHL to rekindle his game.
mhm.
Hopefully it happens. There's really nowhere else he can go. That contract is pretty atrocious.
Yeah, I mean, he's kind of locked into it because he still signed it recently. It's only the second year of that deal.
I think it was only like a 5-year deal though,
It
five
is,
or
but
4 year
I
deal,
mean,
and then
five isn't, it's not short.
five for 6.25, and
Yep.
the last 2 years $7 million, and the last year's $8 million.
Oh, right. That's how much is actually getting paid to him
Yes.
in real money. But the cap hit is 6.25 per year.
Okay. Okay.
And it's only a 4-year deal, which isn't that bad,
No,
but also it does have a modified no trade clause, which isn't a big deal. It's just 10 teams you can't get traded to.
I'm sure Pittsburgh's one of them. He's an interesting guy, and I wish him all the best. Hope him all the best. I wish him all the best. I'm sure he's also going through his demons right now, because like
Mhm.
you won 2 Stanley Cups back to back, and now you're this middling goaltender on a very crappy team. So nothing is really going his way, and it hasn't been ever since he got to the Ottawa Senators.
Mhm.
So it's scary. It's scary to see. I
Yeah,
guess they
it's
just need the
unfortunate.
Hamburglar. They just need Andrew Hammond.
Yeah, maybe, man. Is he still around? Where is
No,
he
I think
now?
he's gone. He's out of here.
No. He's got to be in the league though.
Uh, Andrew Hammond.
He's with Minnesota.
Okay, good, good.
There he is. He's still in the league. Is he playing? No, he's on the Iowa Wild. He's in the AHL.
He's getting
Yeah,
paid.
214, 931. Not bad.
Not bad. No, this guy is great. It's like David Ayers, but even more legendary than him.
That's
I'm
true.
sorry. I'm
You just
sorry.
had to bring him to No, but you're right. He is more legendary because he got the hamburgers. I remember when they would throw him on the ice in Ottawa, and then Curtis Lazar picked one up and ate it.
Yeah, he ate the thing. Yeah,
There,
that was
hey,
legendary.
it's better to have burgers thrown on the ice than waffles. Trust me.
Then the Habs won against them that year. I think in the playoffs, because they
Yes,
yes, PK
that's
Subban
right.
slashed some guy's legs. I forgot who it was. Who was it? Maybe like Pajot or maybe Shabbat.
No, but
Anyways,
Chabot wouldn't have been on the team at the time. It might have been Peugeot or someone like that. Yeah.
you ready for the next topic?
Yes. Yeah. Let's move it on.
We got Brendan Lemieux and Kachuk. Tell
Oh,
us
he was a hungry boy.
a little about the hungry man there.
Oh, Brendan Lemieux. I was actually. It's funny. I was just kind of turning through different hockey games on my very legit streaming site that I use.
Yep.
Um, and I was just yeah going through all the games, and I saw like, oh, that game was still on, and it was a close game, so let's throw it on. It's like literally seconds after I put it on, just all of a sudden the scrum happens, and I
Oh
see
wow.
Lemieux and Kachuk down on the ice, and I'm like, okay, fine. And then like Kachuk's kind of like freaking out, and he's like yelling to the refs, and you can like clearly read his lips. He's saying, "He bit me, he effing bit me," and whatnot. And then I guess like when he yelled that, Lemieux was even more upset because he's like, "Oh, like I don't want this guy to okay, I'm already like I'm caught. Like there's nothing like why else?" So he just basically doubled down and just started roughing Kachuk up more,
Right.
and it just yeah, like it became this thing. Like I couldn't believe I was actually watching it.
That
But
must
then
be. I
after
didn't
when the
even
refs
watch
finally
it.
separated them, you just see Kachuk's hand, and like, yeah, it's clearly he's bleeding all on here. And the whole time he's skating along with the rest, and he's just like, he effing bit me. He effing bit me. And like, it clear as day, you can read his lips. I
Wow.
remember even the commentary made it like said like, oh, kids don't read lips. Like, it was very clear as day that he was saying that. But yeah, the whole thing, I mean, I think the refs did a good job by just ejecting him after that, because I mean, they don't have the benefit of video replay like we do.
Yep.
But I mean, again, they just kind of de-escalate the situation by kicking the guy out of the game. It's already the end of the game anyways. There's no need for that to go on at all.
No.
And then yeah, the suspension to follow, which how long did he get suspended actually?
Well, he's been offered a hearing over the incident, but no date of the hearing was set. So
Oh yeah.
we don't know yet how long he's going to be out.
That is interesting. So kind of right now it's just like an out indefinitely type thing.
Out until there's a decision. So
That is interesting. Yeah, usually they're pretty quick with these hearings and stuff. It's usually like the next day or like 2 days later or before their next game at least. Which
well,
actually that's a
could he
good
play
question.
then? Can he still, if there's a game coming up and he hasn't gotten suspended yet, then he could
That-
technically go play.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong. I think he is still eligible to play because yeah, that's on the league to schedule a hearing and do all that. It's not like he goes out and goes like, okay, I need to make sure I'm free this Tuesday or
Yeah.
something, you know?
No, I'm not in a rush.
Yeah, like
I'm sure they got
geez,
lawyers.
man.
They're like, no, don't rush things.
Well,
Let's wait up on
their
this.
next game is tonight.
Okay.
Um, so yeah, I'm surprised that there was no hearing today at the very least. I mean, their next game's Thursday, so maybe it's going to be tomorrow or on Thursday. I know the league usually likes to have the players' hearings on the game day for some reason, just
Oh,
the way they do it.
it's expected to occur on Tuesday, so that's today.
That's today. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Well, with them also being 3 hours behind, it's only like it's currently 5 o'clock here in the Eastern time zone, so it's 2 o'clock out there. Yeah, they're gonna have that probably in I'd say in the next 2 hours. So we just missed out from having it in our podcast, but that's
Damn,
okay.
that's all right. But we do have another one. Actually, well, we can finish that one. After the game, Kachuk was very unhappy with what happened. He went on and said that kids don't even do that anymore. This is outrageous. Babies do that. I don't even know what he was thinking. He's just a complete brickhead. He's got nothing up there. Bad guy, bad player. But what a joke he is.
Yeah,
There was
you and
also
all.
there's back and forth as well because Jonathan Quick, or was it Cal Pedersen? He defended him.
No, it was quick. It
Oh,
was Jonathan Quick.
what a wonderful guy! Eh? He defended him. He said that that people like him. Like Kachuk was saying that the whole team hates him. Quick is
Yeah.
saying that he has his own opinion of what happened. Of course, the guy did bite him. Kachuk was bitten, so he can't like make that up. But maybe there's something behind the scenes. Kachuk was picking at him or something, and then he got pissed off and did something.
Yeah,
So
might have said something to him and just set Brendan Lemieux off, which, I mean, this might be worth noting, but Brendan Lemieux is the son of Claude Lemieux, who
yes,
obviously was known for doing very dirty things in his day as well. So should it be a surprise? No.
apparently
But
there's history though. There's history between the fathers fighting.
well, that's it, right? Too. Like
Yeah.
maybe that was it. Like maybe he said something like, "Oh, my dad's better than yours," and he was like, "Well, I'm gonna bite you."
Or he's like, yeah, you know what? Like, I feel pretty pissed off at Claude. Can you beat up his son for me, kid? All right. I'm pretty pissed off at him. All right, yeah, Dad, no worries. Oh shit, he bit
Oh
my
no.
hand. Well, he's a brickhead. Don't worry about him.
He's a brickhead. Yeah, man. When I read that quote that he called him a brickhead, I just lost it. I was in tears when I saw that. That's
He,
just hilarious.
what a league we are following, eh? What a
Gotta
league.
love the NHL, man.
And then the last news of potential suspension, or he is
No,
suspended
this
now.
was a
He
suspension,
is
yeah.
suspended. Brad Marchand has been suspended for slew footing for 3 games.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if you've seen the video of it, but it was a very dirty slew foot. I mean, slew footing's never something you do, but the one thing I don't understand is the NHL's consistency with this because Marchand did it. He got 3 games. Someone else did it. I can't remember who, but he got 1 game. PK Subban has done it like 2 or 3 times already this year, and all he's gotten was a fine each time.
The
And
league
the
is
max fine
racist.
they can get is $5,000. So he's lost $15,000.
Yeah,
Marchand has lost 3 games pays, which is more than $15,000, I can assure you.
absolutely.
And the other guy also got suspended 1 game, which is missing 1 game's pay, and I'm pretty sure that is more than 15,000 as well.
Yeah,
So why? I just want to know. Like, I just kind of thought of this now. Like, why does the league have this?
I don't
Like,
know.
it's
What's
almost
the
like,
track history for? I know PK Subban has his track history for doing.
oh,
Who's the other
well, here
guy?
it is. Sorry about Marchand. He will be forfeiting $91,875,
Wow.
which is nothing for him.
Of course.
Like the guy gets paid like 6, 7 million.
No, it doesn't hurt his bank account.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, Subban, yeah, he does have a reputation for doing,
For slew footing and
yeah,
other.
blue footing and just being a kind of like a Marchand, where like he'll be sneaky in the way he like does dirty things, or even
Yes.
Kadri with the Leafs was like that as well.
I think PK Subban was more tame. He didn't try to get the limelight, and he would when he did his moves, it'd be like, oh, okay, well, he didn't like injure the guy or didn't like kill the guy or it wasn't
Yeah,
that terrible. He did some bad things against Ottawa. We did talk about that before, but
that's a rivalry, playoffs, things happen.
yeah, this slew fit is pretty bad. I thought at first it wasn't bad, but then after you see it after 2 or 3 replays, it's not a good look.
Yeah, I
Three,
mean,
three.
serious risk of injury to Ekman Larson on that play too, going down into the boards. Like,
Yeah, well, he was off of the boards a little bit, and he got
it's still sliding into it, the way
yes.
his legs go in. Like, you never know, guys
There's
get
risk.
twisted up and tangled. Yeah,
It's very dangerous. Absolutely, he momentum was going right into the boards. Luckily, he slowed down just enough, so it was,
hmm
and he was also in a good angle to go into it. Wasn't leg
yeah.
first or head first. It was on the
Well,
side of
yeah,
the body.
thank God it wasn't, because I guess that's the biggest risk when it comes to slew footing, right? Like the guy falls and then his head hits the ice first, and
Yep.
it's just a disaster at that point.
Or just like what happened with Tavares, a good clean hit. In this case, it
Oof.
would be a bad hit, right? Bad hit. He falls down, but then some other player comes around and knocks him in the head by accident. It's not.
Yeah,
It would be the fault of Brad Marchand at that point.
that's the thing,
Um,
right? Hockey's such a fast game. Like guys are skating at such fast speeds. Like a guy falls in front of you, you can only react as fast as your reactions allow you to.
that's
And
right.
if you're not fast enough, even like yeah, that Tavares one, like Perry tried to get out of the way. He tried jumping over him, but it was unfortunate. His knee just didn't clear his head.
No, we're only human. So
Yeah.
I think that's it for the suspensions and possible suspensions.
hmm
Our final topic, and the next one is a special one. The Fenway Sports Entertainment Organization has finalized a deal to purchase the Penguins. We talked about this 2 weeks ago in our last podcast. It's official now. So
Yep. It's done. Lemieux and the other, I forgot who the other guy in front, or oh, Ron Burkle and Mario Lemieux will still remain as like part of the ownership group.
yep,
But yeah, they're just no longer majority owners. Everything's pretty much staying the same. Just team has new ownership, and they probably have a bit more funding. They can put that into whatever they want.
a little
Maybe,
bit.
yeah,
I
you know,
new parking lot, Steven.
hey, you know
I
me.
know you like those parking lots.
Maybe they actually did. They needed some underground parking around the stadium,
I'm sure they
and
got
these
good
guys
parking
were
in
like, "We
Pittsburgh.
can buy it for you."
Yeah, they've been. It's been a good organization ever since Marty
hmm
Lemieux and Burkle bought it. Been successful. It's a place that people want to go to.
hmm
So go Pittsburgh and see how it goes for them in the future. I guess that's it for that segment. It was very.
I
I guess we're gonna
actually,
talk about it.
before we move on to our final thing, I just saw some breaking news.
No, da da
Uh,
da.
Jack Hughes has been extended 8 years at $8 million per year by the New Jersey Devils.
Whoa! Hold
Yeah.
the phone. 8
Yep.
years, eight. No, sorry.
An
Yeah, 8
8 by
years, 8 million.
8. 8 by
Wow.
8, yep.
1 second. Let's have a look at Nick Suzuki here. Nick Suzuki, where are you?
I actually want to know, is he the first guy to get a contract extension from his draft class? I believe he is.
I think so as well.
Yeah.
Where is Nick Suzuki's I want to know what his contract's like again.
Suzuki.
Yeah, I went on Cat Friendly. Couldn't find it.
I mean, the Habs are the top team on cap friendly because they have the highest cap hit.
Yikes. Yikes.
Nick Suzuki, he is 7.8.
For like, what, 6 years? 8 years. It was 8 years.
8 years, yeah. So he's just getting, so Jack Hughes is getting just a tad more than Nick Suzuki.
Okay.
And I mean, Hughes this year, what are his numbers like this year? They're pretty good, aren't they?
I don't know.
Oh, he did get hurt.
I was going to say that.
Currently, he has 3 points in 2 games.
Okay.
2 goals and an assist. But I mean, you look at his previous years as well, like 21 points in his rookie season. I mean, to be honest, I think if you'd asked me, he probably shouldn't have played his rookie season, but they played him anyways, and maybe that's going to help him in the long-term development. Last year's 31 points in 56 games, so big improvement with 11 goals as well.
I think this is a risk.
It definitely is a risk because this guy hasn't played a full season. Think about it. His only seasons in the NHL so far have been a COVID-restricted year, another COVID-restricted year, and now this year he's only played 2 games and he's gotten an 8 by 8 extension. And clearly the Devils like what they see, I guess, in practice, off the ice. I guess his teammates obviously like him too because they want him to stay around for 8 more years. So clearly the Devils like what they see from him.
Yep.
And they're kind of committing their future with him, which makes sense. They got a bunch of young guys there. So, yeah, I mean, we'll see how it does from there. They're off to a great start this year, too.
I think it's too. I think the years is too much, and the money is too much. This guy needs a bridge deal. This guy definitely needs a bridge deal.
Yeah,
he doesn't need this deal.
Agree, man.
I totally agree with you. They let themselves get walked on, I feel, from this deal.
Yeah, it is interesting, but I mean, hey, maybe he's got a really good agent and he got his price.
That's right. Yeah.
I'm looking around at other players on the team, like you got Nico Hischier, who's there for another.
He's long term now.
Yeah, he's there for another 6 or 7 years at 7.25. Captain of the team as well. Dougie Hamilton's there on a new free agency deal at $9 million a year.
Yep.
Also have PK Subban on the final year of his $9 million deal. So so you get that $9 million freed up. You spend 8, and then you have 1 left over.
It's a risk if he keeps the pace that he's at this year, point per game and more. Then yeah, of course that'll be worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nick Suzuki. I think that'll be a good comparable between both of them, Nick Suzuki and Jack Hughes.
Yeah,
you can look at them both, and that'll be the race there. They're both very similar in cash wise and age wise.
Yeah, and the extensions start in the same year as well next season.
So it's perfect.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. That is the comparable, and you look at Suzuki. And his numbers so far, 41 points in his rookie season, 41 points last year in a shortened season.
Yep.
And he's got playoff experience in both those seasons where they've won rounds both times and gone to the finals.
Yep.
So yeah, definitely Montreal does have it better with that when you compare the 2 contracts side by side and the 2 players. But again, Hughes is still young. He's only 21 years old. So he's got a long career ahead of him. And yeah, we'll see where it takes him.
Whoever is Jack Hughes' agent, I want to congratulate him on that because I don't know how he did it, man.
I want his agent to call me up. I need him as my agent.
He could get me. He could get you into any job, man. You could be a NASA scientist. Maybe next year, the guy will get you a job.
Oh yeah.
You're very qualified, Steven. I know you are. And for the last, well, this was a very surprising bonus segment.
Mm-hmm.
But here's our last surprise segment. We're going to be talking about the way too early hardware predictions. Pretty much the title says it all. We're very excited to talk about this one.
Yes.
Hardware. We're going to be talking about 6 different hardwares: the Calder, the Hart, the Rocket, the Norris, the Vezina, and the Selke. We have the top 3 for every single one. We are going to be going from our third pick to our first pick for every single one. So the Calder, I'd like to start that off with Steven. Steven, you can start it off with the Calder.
All right. So third place in my Calder vote as of now.
Yes.
I'm giving it to, or actually not, it's for the end of season. This is our end of season.
That's right, your prediction.
I got Dawson Mercer in third.
Okay.
Lucas Raymond in second, and Trevor Zegras taking home the Calder Trophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have Trevor Zegras as my third.
Okay.
Dawson Mercer as my second. And then Lucas Raymond as my number 1.
Okay. So now I wanted to ask you, because last week when we recorded this, Zegras is still like 5th or something in rookie scoring.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you look at the week he had, he's now up in 3rd and catching the guys ahead of him. So are you nervous by your prediction there?
A little bit. Trevor Zegras is a good player, although him and Mercer might be going, head to head, and I think that'll be interesting. I don't think Trevor Zegras will catch up to Raymond, although Raymond hasn't really put up any points since we did that video. So
he's been slowing down too.
And more cider as well. So it's concerning. Your prediction might be looking a little bit better than mine, although mine sort of fit the narrative for this week. I gotta go deeper in the future. You hit it. You're hitting it at the moment.
At the moment, yeah, which is it may be something that I don't want.
No.
Maybe I don't want to be leading right now. We're only a quarter of the way through the season. Do I want the lead now?
Well, no. Currently, my prediction is accurate. Yours might be possible because Trevor Zegras is tied with Mercer, so he may pass Mercer, and Raymond's slowing down, so Zegras might actually catch the first. So your prediction looks accurate, Steven.
I mean, comparing this to like horse racing, my horse is saving his stamina for the end, for the final sprint.
It all depends if Anaheim can keep it up.
Of course, yeah.
He's also like a minus. He was a minus. I don't know if he still is. Yep, -8.
Yeah.
So not pretty.
Definitely.
The team needs to be better, and if he can keep it up, even with the team being worse, then so be it. But I think that's it for the Calder, right?
Yeah, good discussion on that one.
Yeah.
Next is the Hart. You're up.
The Hart. I'm gonna start with Ovechkin, and Leon Draisaitl, and Connor McDavid.
All right. Well, yeah, I mean, I have the exact same 3 as you, but I put it Draisaitl in 3rd, Ovechkin in 2nd, and McDavid in 1st.
Okay. Now I do remember the Rocket.
Well, hold on. I want to explain why I put guys where in this one. Like, the only reason why I have Ovechkin ahead of Draisaitl, which is different from yours, is because I think Ovechkin's gonna. Well, actually, it's spoiling the next one, I guess.
That's why I wanted to go into that one.
Okay, yes. Okay, fine. Yeah. Go.
You start. No, you're starting with the Rocket.
All right. So for the Rocket, I have Matthews in 3rd, Draisaitl in 2nd, Ovechkin in 1st.
There we go.
Yeah.
And I have Mangia Payne in 3rd, Draisaitl 2nd, and then Ovechkin 1st. And that's, I think, having Ovechkin 1st there is a no-brainer. The record, if he's going to beat the record from Gretzky, he's going to have to win the Rocket for a few years. Maybe 2 more years, 3 more years now.
I mean, I've said it a lot of times. I think he's putting up 65 this year. He may even break his second-year record. Where 65. I think I forgot how many he got in 2008. But that was the most goals that he scored in his career.
At least 60.
He did hit 60. I know he hit 60 for sure.
Yeah, he had 65 in 07 and 08.
Yeah, okay, that was it. Yeah, 65. So I think he can at least tie it, if not beat that
Yeah,
previous personal best that he put up.
that's pretty impressive.
Um, yeah, and for that reason, that's why I put Ovechkin ahead of Draisaitl in the Hart voting, just because I think you look at that, he's going to be like, I think if the prediction of him leading the league in goals comes true, then I think the voters of that will look at that, and especially if he's putting up 60 goals, like you don't see that every year.
You're right. It's not very common to see a guy getting 60 goals, and that is your most valuable guy. The guy putting the pucks in the net,
Hmm.
and he's arguably the best player to do that in the league. So, uh, yeah, Draisaitl and McDavid, to me, the heart. Those guys sort of deserve it. They're always at the top there. Draisaitl is
Hmm.
currently the top for goals and points. So you're you're right. It's a neck and neck race for all three of them for the heart.
Yeah,
I think
honestly, I
it's more
mean,
clear for the goals though that Ovechkin, even if Draisaitl has the advantage at the moment, it's just a goal difference. So
yeah, Ovechkin's just he's a guy. I mean, nothing to take away from Draisaitl either, but like they're both guys that can basically score at
oh
will any
yeah,
night they want. But I think Ovechkin is just maybe just because he's been around longer, like he kind of just it's already known about him. Whereas Draisaitl, he's kind of recently established himself as like that, like yeah, I can score every night kind of guy.
yeah, and it's sort of having McDavid there makes him look a little less, enticing or not as
Hmm.
compelling of an option as Ovechkin because Ovechkin doesn't have a McDavid around him. He has
Yeah,
Kuznetsov and Backstrom, but they're not in the top 10 here for leaders in points. They're not in the top
no,
10 for
they're
assists. Oh, well, there's Kuznetsov. Kuznetsov is there at 20 points or
yeah, but
20
he's still not
assists.
on the same level as a McDavid, right?
No, yeah, McDavid's scoring and shoot and passing it.
Hmm.
Backstrom's not there neither. So it's interesting and very not surprising anymore because Ovechkin has always been doing this. Whenever you think he's out, he's never out.
Yeah, exactly, man. There was those years like you look back at like I think it would have been around like '09, 10, 11, where like he was only scoring 30 goals and people were like, "Oh, that's it. Ovechkin's done." Like he's starting to regress and like I remember there was even 1 year two people commented about how he was like he was like a minus like 20 something because most of his goals were
Minus
coming on the power play.
35, but he
Yeah,
had
yeah, that's
51
right.
goals that year.
Yeah, but like 30 of them or 20 of them were on the power play.
My God,
So like
power play
people were looking at that
goals.
and being like, this guy can't play 5 on 5. He'll never win a cup because of that.
Yeah,
He
25
listened to
goals on
all
the
that.
power play. 25
Yeah,
goals.
he listened to all those things that people were saying. He learned from them and he made himself good at 5 on 5 and eventually won a cup.
There you are. He adapted. Now the next trophy, the Norris Trophy.
Going back to Rocket for a second.
Oh, he's going back here.
Are you
I'm not switching anything, Steven, if you're
with
asking.
Mangiapane? You're keeping him there,
You're
eh?
damn right.
All right, because I'm just saying Matthews is heating up, man. He's
Matthews
been
can heat up.
scoring.
Whatever, man. You're just a Leafs fan.
A
You're just a boring Leafs
little
fan.
bias, yeah.
Andrew Mangiapane, or Mangiapane, he needs to take it because I don't want to see anyone else. I don't want to
Fair
see
enough.
your Matthews there.
My Matthews.
No, 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 no. Thank you. I need Calgary to do something. That's it. Calgary and Edmonton, I'm happy with.
Hmm.
The Norris. So I'll start with this one. Kale McCarr, Victor Hedman, and Adam Fox.
All right. So you got Fox going back to back. I have Fox in third,
Okay.
McCarr in second, and Victor Hedman taking it.
That's last week's stuff.
Yep.
So
Yeah, yeah. Oh
you
yeah.
still think that's to be the case?
Yeah, none of this has been changed.
Okay. Okay. I think all three of them are great options. It's really hard to pick out of them. What do you pick out of points, team success?
Well, that's a thing, right? I mean, nowadays I feel like this award has honestly become like a who can score the most points by a defenseman thing, which is why
But you're
I
looking
would
at
like
this year.
for
Look at the points this year. They're so
well, I am.
close together. How do you
I
pick from
know, I
that?
am.
How do you do that? The
But that's the
better the
thing.
plus
Well,
minus, or you do a
here's
coin
the thing
flip.
though. Okay, but here's the point I'm trying to make. I think the Norris shouldn't be given to the guy. Like, I think it's deserved for sometimes to be given to the guy with the most points, but I also think it, like, the description of it is the best defenseman. Being a good defenseman is both offense and defense, which is
Yes.
why I think Hedman, like, think about how many times that guy has been nominated but hasn't won that award. And then you see him in the playoffs and just how effective he is and just like how like just a beast he is out there. And it's like, how isn't this guy like I feel like we can look back at his career later when it's all said and done and be like, how didn't this guy win more Norris trophies?
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. Although, for talking about, defensemen, it's what that defenseman for his team, what did he contribute? And if he contributed enough to change that around, like Carey Price did for the Montreal Canadiens however many years
Mhm.
ago, he was the defining factor. If I look at like a guy like Adam Fox, he, the when you're looking at these guys, you're looking at teams that aren't supposed to be doing well but are doing well, and Adam Fox is one of those guys that are showing up for the Rangers here, and he has better plus
Mhm.
minus than McCarr and Victor Hedman so far. John Carlson's currently leading in points, but um, John Carlson could be an option there as well. There's so
Yeah.
much.
Oh yeah. Can never count him out.
Adam Fox winning it 2 years in a row. But do you think the NHL would allow that? 2 years in a row?
It could happen. I mean, hey man, if the people voting on that award feel that he is the best defenseman again, it will happen. But like, yeah, looking at other guys on the
Oh
list,
my
like
God,
Yossi was
Steven.
another guy.
Adam Fox is born February 17th, 1998.
Yeah.
A day before my birthday.
Oh, that's yeah.
Wow.
Wow. He's younger than me too, so that makes me feel old.
Ay, ay, ay. Ay, ay, ay.
Well, yeah, you look at even the other guys on this list too of like leading defenseman points, like Yossi's there, Ekblad's there. I think below that, I don't know if I'd give like Jones, Hughes, or
No.
Heiskanen
It'd be those
any love for the award,
those
but you know,
defensemen that are bringing out teams. Like if Quentin Hughes was leading the top five with Vancouver and Vancouver's doing well, then you would be
hmm
like, yeah, okay, Quentin Hughes is leading the charge for this team, and he's the future for it. Adam
yeah,
Fox is
oh
doing
yeah,
all of this on an organization that was and still is technically in a rebuild and doing very well.
yeah, it's very true. I mean, just the fact that yeah, he can step into the league and just already be that dominant defenseman that
A,
like the Rangers needed.
a third round pick,
It's
man. A third round pick.
yeah, a third round pick of the
Calgary
Calgary
Flames.
Flames.
Yeah.
They traded him to Carolina, and then Carolina traded him to the Rangers. Man, the guy's been on three teams before he even played a game.
And he's shown up big
Oh
time.
yeah.
I'm just shocked of the Rangers all around.
Oh, we all are, man.
Very shocked. Although their rookies are doing absolute trash. Lafreniere and Kako, they've only got 6 points. And
Yeah, I mean, this may sound a little controversial, but I don't like they're good players, don't get me wrong, but I just don't think they're anything
I
special.
think they're overrated.
No, I just don't I don't
Well, it
want to say
is. It is.
overrated.
You're
I
saying they
did no,
are.
you're right. I am saying that. Yeah. Yeah, I am. They're overrated.
Bam.
I'm
Done.
not
There's
afraid to
there's the
say
headline.
it.
Overrated Lafreniere and Kako. Or is it the management that's not taking care of them properly?
No, because even when they were like in junior, like again, Lafreniere was sick.
Yeah.
Like, don't get me wrong, he was a sick player, but like I remember saying at the time, like, I think Byfield's gonna be the better player from that draft.
Okay. Okay.
So I don't know. I like what Byfield brings to a team and compared to what Lafreniere brings to a team. And again, I'm not saying he's bad. I'm just saying, yeah, maybe he's a little overrated. That's all.
Okay. Well, that's our hot take for this one. The Vesna. Da 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 da. That's you, Steven.
Ooh,
Starting with
yeah,
that one.
okay. So I got in third place,
Okay.
Tristan Jari.
Yep.
In second place, Jacob Markstrom.
Okay.
And then first place, Andrei Vasilevsky.
Andrei Vasilevsky. That's a pretty safe pick there.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I have the three J's. I got Jakob Markstrom
Mm-hmm.
for my for the third pick, and then James Reimer,
Yep.
and then Jack Campbell, number
Oh
one.
boy. I mean, the Campbell one, like, man, I know I said this. I know, like you put that a week ago, and then you look at the week he's had since then. Like in LA Wednesday night, only allowed 2 goals. Against the Ducks on Sunday night, only allowed 1 goal. Like, I mean, he's just bringing that number down and down. Like, I mean, I'm looking at him now, a 946 save percentage with a 164 goals against average. Like, what do you mean? 164?
It's
That's so
crazy.
low.
164. Joseph Wool's after him at
I
167.
know. And of course, 64 and 67 are the last 2 times the Leafs won the cup. So,
Even more pain. Jack Campbell's
exactly.
second in the league for shutouts at three, tied
Yeah.
with Jari and Sorokin. Jake
Yeah.
Ottinger could.
He's another one. Shout out to him.
He's only got 5 games played, 4 wins, but his goals against the save percentage is very good. If he had a more prominent role, if he played like 30 or 40 games and did really well, he could also
Hmm.
be in the running for Rookie of the Year.
Oh yeah.
If he had
Well,
like a
even I
one and a
think
half, 160 that goes against average and a 930 save percentage, that's a rook. That's Calder
oh yeah.
Trophy right there.
Even like same thing you can look at Dan Vladar on Calgary. You could say the same thing, right?
I was gonna
He's
look
putting
at
up
that.
on the fact that Calgary has 2 goalies that are shutting it down this year is like that's exactly what they needed after years
Absolutely,
of
yeah.
not really having a goaltender. Although I'm not going to say that about Markstrom last year. Markstrom was actually good last year. I think just the team in front of him underperformed.
There were some adjustments needed. There was
Yeah,
definitely
of
some
course.
adjustments there. If I think James Reimer is an if they can, I don't know, if I this was from last week, if I could change it, I'd put Markstrom before Reimer. But if
I'll allow it.
San Jose was to make the playoffs, I think Reimer would be higher than Markstrom, just for the fact that
Yeah.
he was doing well and he is doing well still, and he was the guy to bring him out. That's
No,
predictions.
you're right. You're right. If San Jose is gonna continue to be successful, I think a lot of that does ride on Reimer being able to carry them to that point. But we'll see how long he can do that. I mean, he's already kind of, you
Kind
know.
of, but his goals against average 212 and save
I mean, the
percentage is
Leafs chased him
933.
on Friday night. He didn't even last the whole game.
That's one game.
No, it's one game. It happens. I
That's right.
understand.
Ottawa and Toronto recently, he did not play too well.
No.
4 goals against Toronto, and you said he was pulled. Ottawa, he finished, but he allowed 3 goals, 29 shots. So 26
It's not
shots and three
terrible.
goals. So
Yeah, it's not
yeah, that's
terrible.
no,
But
it's almost 900 save percentage and 3 goals
yeah.
against average. So um, yeah, he's gonna go a bit down. So is there anyone that in the goalie side would you be surprised to see surprise you, or like a guy that
I
you're
mean,
not
my
seeing?
prediction, if Jari could stay third, I'd actually be surprised by that. I went bold with that one.
That is quite bold. I
Yeah, it's very
didn't pay
bold.
attention to him.
Yeah, I don't even know where he is now in any of the
He's
goalie
great.
categories. Still
195,
up there, yeah.
185 goals against average and a 938 save
Yeah.
percentage.
I feel like though a lot of those are just early season numbers where like a goalie will be hot and then
Well, he's
yeah,
still
just
doing well right now. He's still on the
he is.
ball. Yep.
Yeah, I know he is, but I'm just saying like there's still 3 quarters of a season left. Like it's not
You're
often
right.
that goalies finish with goals against averages of under one.
This
It's very
guy,
rare.
this guy's doing well right now on a team that's struggling so far
Hmm.
and has had a lot of injuries. The Pittsburgh
Yeah.
Penguins, although they are fourth in their division now, so there's a lot going on in that division. I don't even want to talk about that one.
Yeah, that's for another day.
Absolutely.
The
We
Selkie.
the Selkie, the last trophy. Some say the least important, and some say the most important. We won't get into that controversy. I think it's my turn.
It's your turn, yep.
Okay. Okay. So Nazem Kadri, number three.
Hmm.
Okay. And Ryan Getzlaf, number 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mr. Alexander Barkov, number 1.
All right. I got Bergeron in third,
Okay.
Couturier in second, and I also agreed with you, Alex Barkov going back to back.
Back to back, baby. The guy is a true force to be reckoned with. And
Mm-hmm.
the way that the Florida Panthers have started this year, it's pretty impressive. Although, like, it was about time that they stepped up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. People have been asking for this for years. They've always been, oh, watch out for Florida. Next year is their year. And then just disappointment. And it's like, oh, watch out for them. This is their year. And then disappointment. And last year, yeah, last year is when it was really like, okay, like they might have figured it out. And then they're continuing it this year. So, yeah, watch out for Florida.
Very happy for them. Everything's clicking for them. And
Mhm.
any surprises in this category?
I mean, maybe you putting Kadri in there would be a bit of a surprise, but the year he's having, he's kind of earned it. And yeah, Getzlaf. He's never. I don't know if he's ever been nominated for this award.
He's
But
very good. He reminds me a lot of Barkov, and I guess that's
yeah.
Barkov reminds me a lot of Getzlav because he's younger.
Hmm.
Uh, that's why I put him. I put him there. I thought that if anyone
Yeah.
could
No.
get it, Ryan Getzlav could get it. Also, yeah, I mean Bergeron, man, that's easy to put in there. He's so
He'll,
good.
yeah, he'll always be a nominee as long as he plays like a majority of his season, and he'll always be nominated for this award just because he literally plays that way. That's his play style.
Very defensive and responsible player. Although
Yeah.
they do like to see guys who are defensively responsible and scoring goals or putting up
Yeah.
points.
Which is
That's
why I think Barkov as number one is appropriate for both of us.
Barkov is, and Kadri is scary because he's in the top 10, the top 5
Hmm.
actually in points right now, and
Yeah.
he is one of those guys who wins faceoffs, who plays a 200-foot game and is very physical.
Hmm.
Not sometimes responsible though, but what's his point or penalty minutes so far this year? Um,
Uh, I think he might. No, did he
he's
get an
got 30
injection?
points penalty minutes. I think he
Yeah,
did get it.
I think he did get an injection once. So that
Uh,
doesn't help.
I don't see any. I don't see it so far. But he's been a surprise, and hell, just 1 year, man. Give the kid something that he's never gotten.
Yeah, man,
Hardware.
not wrong.
Oh. And yeah, I guess that's it, right?
Yeah, that pretty much concludes it. I mean,
Well,
unless you want to, I can just go quickly check which game. Oh, there it is. It was against St. Louis. Kadri got ejected against.
okay. For what?
I don't know, but that's he has.
Oh yes. Because Biddington was harassing him, and Biddington almost
Oh,
took off his head.
that's right. Yeah. Okay.
So
Yes.
because Biddington was waving a stick at him, let's kick out
Hmm.
Kadri. That sounds like a fair.
Yeah.
Let's do that. That's an even
Oh,
trade right there.
the ref know him too well.
Oh boy. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this episode. Thank you for watching. Leave a like and subscribe. Watch all the clips afterwards. There's a GM mode coming out this week, next week as well, every other week. Stay tuned, man. Subscribe. You better put a bell, that bell icon on. Yeah, you listen to Steven here. He'll tell you everything. Yeah, that's it. Thank you, Steven. See you guys in the next one.
See ya.
Peace.